Hello and welcome. I'm WiseGuy7 and this is World of Tanks. Today I'm going to talk about the Sherman Firefly, the Tier 6 British medium tank, which is not the Cromwell. Good news and bad news on this tank. The good news is the gun is phenomenal. The bad news? Everything else isn't. Right, I'll just tell you what I mean by that. First of all, when you see a Sherman Firefly, you think a Sherman. You think good gun depression. You think strong gun mantlet. You think very good mobility. Well, the Sherman Firefly has none of those qualities whatsoever. I mean, it has some gun depression and some gun mantlet bounciness, and it does have some form of mobility, but it's nowhere near what you expect from a Sherman. So, getting down to the nitty-gritty of this tank, starting with the firepower of it, it fires 14.8 rounds per minute and has a 4.1 second reload. The turret turns at a 43.81 degrees per second. Its gun depression, as you can see here, is minus 6 degrees instead of something like a Sherman's minus 10 or minus 12 degrees. And a 20-degree elevation. It has a 2-second aiming time, and its accuracy is 0.36, and its average damage per minute is 2,219 with a gun rammer. Now moving on to the armor, to survivability, it has 750 hit points, which is quite average. It has a 50 millimeters of armor in the front hull, 38 to the side of the rear. Interestingly, even among Tier 6 Sherman tanks, this tank is the least armored. Yeah, it's even less armored than the EZ8 and the Fury. So, go figure. The turret has 76 millimeters in the front, 50 in the sides and the rear, with some extra patches of armor here, the side of the hull here and here, and over here, which protects, I think it's the crew and some ammo rack. Anyway, when it comes to mobility of this tank, first of all, it weighs 33.6 tons. It has a 460 horsepower engine, so its power to weight ratio is 13.68 horsepower per ton, which it's actually kind of sluggish for a medium tank. Its top speed is 36 kilometers an hour forward, and reverse is 18 kilometers an hour. Its traverse speed is 42 degrees per second. And it has a 370 meter view range and a 574 meter signal range. As for equipment, I have it equipped with a camo net, a gun rammer, and binocular telescope, because personally I play this like a second line tank destroyer. In other words, a support tank. But if you want to be a little bit more adventurous, you can swap out the camo net for something like vertical stabilizer, and swap out binocular telescope for vents or enhanced gun lane drive. So, as for the consumables, personally I go with the standard loadout of repair kit, fire extinguisher, and first aid kit. And also, if you feel like taking a risk, you can don't put a fire extinguisher in and bring an extra set of first aid kit, because the armor is so bad your crew are gonna constantly get knocked out. So it wouldn't be that bad of a decision if you drop the fire extinguisher and go for another first aid kit. Now with that aside, let's get on to some gameplay. Right, so for our first replay, this is a tier 8 match on the Pilsen map, which is, if I'm not mistaken, based in Czechoslovakia. And this is basically the worst kind of matchmaking you can get for the Sherman Firefly, without fail platooning, of course. Right, so let me talk a little bit about this 17-pounder gun. This 17-pounder gun has about 171 millimeters of penetration, and it does about 150 damage per shot on average, which is actually quite decent. For the damage is quite decent, but the penetration is actually very good. Anyway, the thing is, for this gun, if you really want to make use of that 2000 plus damage per minute, you just really need to let it keep on firing, as I will be demonstrating in a little bit on this poor Tiger 1. So first of all, I just need to, if he's watching this video, I just want to apologize to him. It's nothing personal at all, because I am going to really just wreck that Tiger 1 in a few moments, so I just apologize. So the thing about this gun is, if you just let it, keep firing, it will eventually, yes, eventually, it will eventually kill just about anything that it penetrates. Like, for example, that Tiger 1, as I was saying. As you can see, I put one shot into his track, pins him in place, put another shot into the corner, and another shot, and another one, before I pull back to repair my gun, and finish reloading and come out to shoot again. You can see he repaired his tracks. I still pull back out and tracked him again. So yeah, he's not gonna go anywhere. If I had another 10 seconds more to shoot at the Tiger 1, I would definitely have killed him. Which, anyway, I didn't, somebody else did. So since that the Tiger 2 is not going to pop up again, I decided to pull out a bit forward and try to shoot whatever that I can shoot, but miss. So I just stay put, see what else I shoot. And I actually bounced, well, not really bounced, just damaged the gun on the E25. And apparently that shot didn't go through the door as I expected. But it didn't matter, because the E25 broke the door, and that shot bounced because the E25 turned in the last second. But my next shot didn't miss anyway. So, Panther, pull back the cover. As you can see, the E25 calls me a cheater. And you know it's gonna be a good game when somebody calls you a cheater when you're not cheating. So, and this poor tier 6 tiger, Japanese tiger thing, poor thing, he doesn't know where to turn, and he got ammo rack with only 151 health left. And I saw this panther trying to flank, so I went forward and go around basically, and putting one shot into his back and pull back slightly to reload and waiting for artillery to cross. I took one shot from him, but I could take it anyway before killing him. And that is basically my game of what I did in this game. Right, so in that match, it earned me a Ace Tanker badge, which is only the second one I've ever gotten in the Sherman Firefly. I also got an Fire for Effect and Bruiser. That earned me a 26,000 credits and 1,203 experience. And I also managed to bounce a shot from the Tiger too, which is actually quite interesting. So in that game, I also ended up in the first place on the team, did 2,212 damage, and killed 2 tanks. And as you can see here, it's 24 shots fired, 21 hit, 15 penetrated, and I did 2,200 damage. As you can see, I blocked 320 damage, which is an average shot from the Tiger 2. And also spotted 3 vehicles, and also managed to do 257 spotting damage. And you can see here, after minusing all the expenses, I still earned 14,900 credits. So let's say what happens if the stars aligned and RNGesus is smiling upon you to rain 17-pounder shells of hell onto your enemies. Well, I just so happen to have the replay for that as well. Right, for the second replay, this is a tier 6 match on Swamp. And it's a very good matchmaking. I mean, you can't ask for a better matchmaking than this. Only one tier 6 heavy tank on each side. And I'm gonna basically break my normal routine for this map. Usually, especially when I'm not in a heavy tank, I usually go towards A7, A8, that route. I don't usually go down to this side of the map if I'm in a medium tank, even if I am top tier. But I thought, what the hell. And the second thing that I usually don't do is actually accept a request for instant platooning, because again I thought, why the hell not? So anyway, as I try to move towards the castle as fast as possible, and as you can see, this thing is not a fast tank at all, and stopped just before I rammed into the back of T-28. And surprisingly, when I do try to get up to speed, it's not fast, 36 kilometers an hour. But anyway, when I get up to this castle area, usually there'd be more tanks here, but I guess the enemy team's tactic is basically, since they don't have enough heavy tanks, they thought they'd rather not hold the castle, which is honestly not a smart move, because the castle is easily defendable when you're starting from the south spawn. And by holding the castle, you actually get a good foothold to attack the west side of the map up to the north spawn, because you have plenty good cover along the 1-2 line from attacks from in the middle of the hills and so forth. So at this point, you notice that there's not much enemy tanks defending the castle area here. So but it's still, maybe they're just not fast enough and they decide to hold back and ambush us further down the line. So taking precautions isn't a bad thing. And I'm trying to spot tanks here, but not seeing anything yet. And we are seeing a couple tanks on the ridge. So at first we decided not to push, just to make sure here. At least I decided not to push anyway. So since I don't spot anything, I just pull out slightly to shoot whatever I can. And again, the 17-pounder gun is not a very good gun, because it can finish anything that is tier 6 and below in less than 4 shots. As you can see there, 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shots, and 4 shots to kill a Nashorn. Granted, the Nashorn is not the most heavily armored tank in the game at this tier, but It's still the same thing. If you penetrate, you can kill it in 4 shots. And that goes the same for the heads over there and the Easy 8. And not so surprising, but unfortunately I missed the shot on the Easy 8 and I would have to kill him a little bit later. And again, missed the shot on the number 6 heavy tank, which is the Japanese tier 6 Tiger basically. So decided to move up into a better position to hit the Tiger, and since I'm not spotting him, I actually decided to move forward a little bit more. And still nothing. So I try to move up even further, try to hit the Tiger, but still have no shot, so I relocate. Now, talking back to the Sherman Firefly as a whole tank, I feel like it's not really a proper tank, as in like a proper system. As you can see here, SU-100, 2 shots into him. I did, and he retreated back into cover. So as oh god, I really should write stuff down. So he missed 1 shot on the Easy 8, but second shot didn't. So a very important tactic I find to use in Sherman Firefly is the hull down position, or just basically the hull down position, because you want to expose as little as possible to the enemy to shoot at in this thing, because this thing has, well, garbage for armor. It really does have garbage for armor. And speaking of the tank as a whole, I find it doesn't work like a proper tank. I mean, it does what a tank can do, but it doesn't work together as well as how a tank should work together. So I feel that this thing is just basically, a 17-pounder gun on top of a pile of garbage that is flammable to explosions. And took a hit from the SU-100. Luckily he was only using the 100mm gun and not the 122mm gun, so I did not die, or at least take a bigger chunk of my health off. Right, so as I was saying about the Sherman Firefly, it's not really part of the system, but more towards like a gun carrier, so to speak. A gun carrier, as in the sense that the gun and the mode the gun moves in is 2 separate entities. It doesn't feel that right, but it doesn't really matter, because if the whole point of a tank is basically to move a gun from point A to point B, and this clearly does the job well. So also back to the game. At this point I have 7 kills, and this Hellcat could potentially mean that I get a Bradley Worthless medal, which I really wanted one to add it to the top of, as a cherry on top of this game. Because if you haven't keep track, I've already killed 7 tanks, and oh my gosh, I really wanted it. I even asked for them, basically simplified conversation, but in the end I didn't get it. Right, so in that game, that's actually my first ace tanker In the Sherman Firefly, I got Arsonist, a Duelist, and Fire for Effect, a High Caliber, and a Top Gun medal. Sadly, didn't get a Bradley Walters medal, and 30,000 credits, and 2,608 experience. As you can see, I end up on the top of the table with 7 kills and 2,762 damage done. I fired 26 shots, 20 hits, 20 penetrated, 2,706 damage, and 1,100 of it is sniping damage. I also actually, miraculously, managed to bounce 250 damage from, I believe, was the SE100. And I did get the highest I ever earned in base experience, which is 1,304 experience. Yes, it is a ×2 for my first win of the day, which is nice. And after spending everything for repairs and ammunition, I still have 21,773 credits left in. So there you have it, folks. Account. The Sherman Firefly. Personally, I still think that it's not really a proper tank, because the gun, yes, it's good, but it's not like part of the tank, if you know what I mean. It just feels like the gun sits on top of a moving platform. It just doesn't fit together with the vehicle very well. But personally, I still like it a lot, and I still keep it because A, I spent gold on it, on camo, and B, because I actually like tanks with very good guns. Okay, so with that aside, if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more from this channel, give it a subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.